Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Lord Josh here. I want to return to my signature subject, the topic which really put me on the map in the occult community, weather magic. It has been a very long time since I made a video on weathermancy. I've got so much to offer with this category of magic. I want to explore the ways in which weather magic has changed my life and really discuss my journey with this practice from the start to where I am now, and talk a little bit about the future. So let's jump in and talk. So pre-weather magic, we are talking many years ago. I was young, I was just a normal person. I had above average grades, I had a fairly normal life, went to school, played video games, didn't really have any passions at that point. And for years I wandered throughout life without much of a purpose. I didn't know what direction to take. Then I stumbled across a book that would change everything for me, Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Via a divine vision sent to me from Kong Ming, I was told to read chapter 49. Within those pages I found my calling, Taoist weather magic. By this point, the tradition was thoroughly decrepit, and I mean very much forsaken. A Google search didn't pull anything up at all. There was nothing to look for. Only one book really covered the practice, so I bought it immediately, written by Dr. Johnson. And there were no videos of it on YouTube, none whatsoever. This was probably around, 2007 to 2008. This was just kind of before the age when everything was on YouTube. It's not like today where you can search for pretty much anything and you'll find detailed videos talking all about it. This wasn't the case back then. It was a different world. I do vaguely remember seeing a video or two on Chinese social media, but obviously it was useless to me because I couldn't understand it. Young occultists today won't understand this struggle. The book by Dr. Johnson is called Taoist Weather Magic and Feng Shui. I studied this book like crazy. Every single day I would read it cover to cover countless times, simply because it was all I had. At that point in time, there was nothing else to go by. As great as the book was, I knew it had its limits. The tradition of Taoist weather magic was in a bad way. It was neglected, forgotten, it verged on extinction. I could not believe that hardly anyone knew about it. Even other Taoists had little knowledge of it. This is what I would encounter when I first started to engage with other people, other Taoists on social media back then. There was a Taoist blog, which I'm sure you've probably come across. It's still going to this very day, I believe. And I reached out to the proprietor of the site asking about weathermancy. And I got an email back saying, "Don't study this magic. Only God controls the weather." That's exactly what he said to me. And this was a Taoist magician telling me this. I looked around for other Taoists and I emailed them questions. Some responded to me, and get this. Some even said they've never heard of weather magic, and others told me that weather magic is outlawed in China and that nobody practices it anymore. The old masters have to do so in secrecy, or they left China to practice it in different parts of Asia. Now, I continue to send emails to anyone that I thought could help, but I would ask and usually never get an answer most of the time. It seemed like nobody cared about weathermancy. I saw this as an injustice and set out to learn as much as I could. I found it daunting at first, but slowly I gradually began to learn. I was so full of enthusiasm and inspiration, I created my first altar, the outdoor altar named after Zhuge Liang's altar, the altar of the 7 stars. This is where it all changed for me. Sometime later, I watched the brilliant show 3 Kingdoms 1994. And I saw for the first time a reenactment of a real Taoist weather ceremony with Zhuge Liang. I saw what it really would have looked like. This is a huge deal because previously I had only read about it, never saw any pictures, certainly never saw any videos. This was where I got to see a proper weather ritual. With stunning accuracy, it captivated me. It reaffirmed what I always believed, that I should practice this lost art. So I attempted my first ever wind calling forth the winds. This was when I realized that magic in general was not make-believe. In fact, it is real and powerful. All the age-old tales and stories of mystics and sorcerers changing the weather must be true, because I did it for myself. I proved it to myself, and that, I believe, is the ultimate proof. Never mind what other people say. Once you've done it for yourself, then it's a fact. I performed wind calling and rainmaking, which were successful. It was here where I realized this old tradition had merit, meaning, and significance. Despite it being thousands of years old, it worked. Some believed it was outdated and archaic. You know, I spoke to other magicians, some Taoists, some from other paths, and the response that I got a lot of the time, why do you put so much effort and energy into weathermancy? They couldn't understand it, so some people still have this mindset that it's outdated. I disagree entirely, obviously. I always knew it was obscure, but so very important. How could I allow it to perish? Think about it. After centuries of Taoist sorcerers who have given their lives to ensure it would live on, I knew I had to continue this great work. Despite having no connection to Chinese culture, or to the bloodlines of Taoist weathermancers, I meticulously memorized every detail and began channeling the spirit of Kong Ming to help me. Sometimes this would work, sometimes it wouldn't, not like today where I've got it down to a fine science. This is something extremely important, and I might mention this in a future video, a proper video. The whole debate on teachers and masters. I have always had the opinion that you can learn without an earthly teacher, that a guide, guardian, god, an immortal, a deity, etc. I don't think you need a flesh and blood teacher, because all those years of learning, I had one book and Kong Ming. That's it. That was enough for me to get where I needed to be going. After gaining some confidence in my own abilities, I started sharing my knowledge and experiences online and slowly developed a small following. People began to know me as the weather magic guy, and my inbox was soon full of questions relating to the practice. It always makes me smile when someone contacts me on social media and they message me and say, "Hey Lord Josh, I've done it. I've successfully called forth the wind and the rain." And that right there makes me very, very happy indeed. To know that someone has listened and paid attention to my videos and they found out it's all legit and real. As I've said before, the tradition may be old, but it's not redundant. Just for the record, I've never made a penny off of my online material. I did it all for the passion, not the profit. I've made many videos, written blogs, and had hundreds of conversations with curious people over the years. It is always a work in progress, but I feel this art is no longer in danger of being consigned to oblivion, hopefully. It was only last year that I made the biggest step in my weather magic journey by commissioning an accurate weathermancer's robe, which I made a whole documentary on. Please check that out if you haven't seen it, it's wonderful. I'll tell you something incredible about my journey, something I'm really thankful for. One of the greatest gifts that weathermancy has given me is the wonderful circle of friends that I have today. I don't think I would know any of the people that I know if it wasn't for weather magic. Chances are you wouldn't have found my channel, because I would say 80 to 90% of my viewers know me for my weathermancy content. This path has opened the doors to so many fantastic friendships, and yes, I have met some pricks along the way as well, no denying it. But that's definitely the minority for sure. Most of the people have been great, and the opportunities that have come my way as a result of weathermancy, going on people's podcasts to talk about it, it really is wonderful, and I'm so thankful for it. One thing I've noticed, and this is more of a personal thing, whenever I distance myself from weather magic by practicing another category of occultism or making videos on other subjects, I always, every time, get pulled back into the world of weathermancy. And I've taken this as a sign from the universe, maybe from Lamat, this is what I should be doing with my time. Something else that is worth mentioning, let's think about all the weathermancers in the making. The next generation of weather practitioners. Unlike me, they have a lot of knowledge at their disposal. If you're interested in this kind of nature magic and feng shui, my channel as it stands today is a gold mine, so feel free to make use of it. Another life-changing aspect comes from the deities and entities that weathermancers work with. I've worked with spirits that most occultists have never even heard of, like Zuosa, Master Blackhorn. Working with such entities completely transforms the way you view magic. Obscure gods have a lot to offer. Weather magic has changed my life because now I realize why I exist. It is to teach and inspire others, not necessarily to follow this path, but at least let them know, hey, this knowledge exists, check it out. It's exciting, it's colorful, it's historical, it has a lot to offer people because several years ago, it was so close to just being swept under the rug. When I think about the future, I have very clear visions of where I want weather magic to go. A lot of people think, well, Lord Josh wants everyone to practice it. And no, that's not the case. I don't want that. I think people should do what they want to do. I would like people to be aware of it, but I don't think the average Joe should practice it. It's not really intended for that. If we had everything or everyone manipulating the weather, I think that would be chaos. I think it's something you should view as being sacred and divine, and only practice it if you are mature, level-headed, and respectful. I stress this in all of my videos. I think that about covers today's topic. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll be back soon with more. Take care.